I think we're sinking.
Oh, you are the biggest fish in the world. Yes, you are. You are the biggest little fishy in the world. Yes, you are. I like you so much. You are my squishy. And squishy I shall name you. Where's the phone? Let's take a picture.
Do you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much, because I am never disappointed out here because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
Thomas Ahrens. Fishing in DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Why, hello, everyone. Mic check, mic check. I don't really expect a major audience today. This is kind of last minute live. So how'd this all turn about? Basically, I had an interview scheduled for today at 4:00. And I think there was some confusion or something like that, but it didn't work out for this evening, and I had some free time. Me being a workaholic, not knowing how to deal with downtime, don't have enough time to go fishing, or I've already played with the dog, went to the gym today, went for a run. I've already edited all the videos for the rest of the week, so I'm basically done and got my schedule pretty much organized. Got some things that I've been working on for the channel that will be debuting soon. Got ahead of that. And I was bored, and having a free evening really scared me. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go on my old email and some social media and stuff like that. And I found out I had a ton of emails that I never responded to, which I apologize. And I had a ton of comments on Facebook that I never responded to. And I had a really cool voicemail from our fantastic. It worked out so well. Our live stream on Monday night, where we actually had a call-in show. Huge shout out to all you guys for making that. You guys were patient with me, and I really appreciate that. It was really trying to find the cheapest way to at least try a call-in show to see if we had enough cell service for where we live, to see if we have enough internet to make it work. And we do. And so now it's about budgeting to see like what I have to purchase to make a call-in show even better. What kind of hardware and software will be needed to make it better? Because I think the call-in is so powerful, and to be able to communicate with you guys and to bring your thoughts, your questions, anything onto the show to share with everyone in this community. But I did figure out one mistake with that whole Google Voice thing. I need to take the number down because I got a ton of voicemails the next day, all throughout the day while I'm doing my day job. And so one of the voicemails is still on the phone that we're going to be going through today, because I thought that was really interesting. So today is just basically catching up on all these little notes, all these comments, and I'm going to be playing the voicemail at the end too, and we'll go over that as well. So yeah, let me know in the comment section how my audio is. I'm trying something a little bit differently. This will be a short stream. Just wanted to kind of give you guys some more content. And so to begin with, we're going to be going over some notes that I have. I always hit this background too. Pop that background. So yeah, so basically what I did to make it a little bit easier is I just copy pasted everything onto a Word document. We can kind of go through all these questions that I have been meaning to get to, but I didn't. So first one on the docket, we have Kenny says, love the podcast and the video content. Question for you. I just bought a GoPro Hero 8 and I plan to start videoing my boat outings with my son. What do you recommend we use to mount the camera and capture some memories? Thinking I may even start a YouTube or Instagram page dedicated to me and my son's trips. Let me know. Thanks again for the great content. Kenny, thank you so much for the question. I think a YOLO stick is by far the best thing to actually get. A YOLO stick, what's really cool about that is you can plug it into your boat's outlet where you run your nav lights, and it'll give you continuous power, which is fantastic. You can put it on the back of the boat. It gives you that nice wide pan shot. The one thing I'd suggest, I do have my GoPro down here. Sweet. With older GoPros, I highly suggest you pull the battery out and then run it in there without any battery. That'll help out a lot. So just kind of keep that in mind there. Let's go to the next one right here. Perfect. Okay. So we got another question right through here. Do, do, do. Oop, my internet just went out. There we go. I'm back. That was weird. That was weird. Anyway, so the next message that we have here. Here we go. So next message. This is an email I just got the other day. I just wanted to send you a message to let you know I really enjoy your YouTube channel. Let me get up the shared screen here. Perfect. I just wanted to send you a message to let you know I really enjoy your YouTube channel and I've learned a ton. I fished a little with my dad and brother growing up, but we didn't really know much past throwing daredevils for northerns and bass in southern Minnesota and sometimes snagging a few from our canoe. Fast forward to me with a family. When my kids were little, I bought some kayaks to get the family on the water, mostly at Mesa Neck, but we didn't fish. Attached photo of a kayak. Great fun just splashing around in 2017. I bought a canoe from a retired guy and he started telling me about bass fishing. I was clueless. I didn't know there were bass out there. I thought they were only in lakes. He gave me one white tube bait and said, have fun. The kids didn't go out much, so I ended up just using my kayak. Eventually sold the canoe. I had some early luck at Mason Neck and Pohick up the creek exclusively using a white and pumpkin tube, but that seems to have dried up the last few years after commercial fisheries set up camp in 2019-2020. But I'm not a hater. So I started researching and found your channel with all the interviews. In one of your shows, you mentioned that there used to be fishing clubs that met monthly, but those days are gone. Luckily, we have your channel. Next best thing, or better. I don't know about that. I think a fishing club is way better than my channel. You actually get to see people in person, which is kind of awesome. Now I've gone out on the Shenandoah twice and parts of the Potomac 5 to 6 times, and I am catching a few smallmouth. Way more fight than the largemouth that I had been catching. As you know, fishing rivers is way different than my earlier experiences mentioned, and I didn't really know what/where to fish, just overwhelmed. I'm slowly getting dialed in, but nothing more than a few fish per outing. No problem, still out there having fun and learning. I'm 100% catch and release after taking a pick. I've heard you and others talk about using a Ned rig, but it was your last interview with your wife where this is funny. Carly, if you're listening, it was your last interview with your wife where you explained your mistake of starting her with it and her switching to a crankbait because she said it fit her personality. It really does fit her personality, by the way. Fit her personality. I totally get that. I'm going to try the Ned rig again using your explanation in the show. I had been fishing it way too fast and snagging everything but fish. By the way, that was your best show yet of a dozen or so that I've watched. Carly really is insane. She's been doing really good. I've watched, though the Alabama bass one was alarming. Yeah, the one where I got the big sticks on from the Department of Wildlife Resources, that was a great interview. I really enjoyed talking to them. Maybe I'll just wrap this up and say thank you so much for interviewing so many diverse players. If you see someone fishing from a crappy yellow kayak, it's probably me, so give me a wave. I think I'm going to focus on waters above White's Ferry. Yes, lots of grass as mentioned in recent shows. Maybe I'll also say that being from the Midwest, we were taught to stay away from rivers, too dangerous. Also, 10,000 lakes. My idea of the river fishing was Great Falls and those uh, nutter, I'm going to say nutter, those nutter whitewater kayakers out there, like Jeff Little. I had no idea above the falls, the water is so calm. I now monitor water levels. I actually went upstream from White's Ferry to above Mason Island the other day. No biggie. If you know the water, but you can't do that on the Minnesota River. Actually, death wish to even try going downstream in a kayak. I had to send a video to my mom to calm her down. Yes, it's a river, mom, but not what you're picturing. Okay, sorry for the rambling. So much for a quick message. Thanks, Tony. Tony, thank you so much. And he has a picture of a kayak, which I'm going to show. Nope, there it is. Boom. And there's the picture of the kayak. Did he say canoe or kayak? Yeah, kayak. Okay, cool. No, that's a pretty cool one, dude. That's kind of the one that I started out with too. That yellow one. I had a Dick's Sporting Goods. I had a Dick's Sporting Goods special growing up that my brother and I used, and we used to float Goose Creek all the way down to the road, and then we call our dad to like pick us up because it's kind of illegal. And I didn't know this until I had a conversation with Charlie Taylor on Sunday. It was just a private phone call, and he mentioned that all the land on either side of Goose Creek it was owned at one time by one company. And now I think it's been sublet a little bit because I do see houses on there, but a lot of it's private basically. And so if you don't have permission, you couldn't get to that main part of the Goose Creek Reservoir. So what we would end up doing is we'd end up floating all the way down Goose Creek towards the dam, get to fish it a little bit, paddle to the road, call our dad to pick us up, and he'd drive right next to the highway and we'd hop in and throw the kayaks. So there's nothing wrong with a cheap kayak. It works very well. So now what we're going to try to do is and for everyone that just tuned in on the show, basically this is a catch-up stream. I had an interview scheduled for 4 p.m. today, and I think we got a miscommunication or something like that, but it didn't work out for this afternoon. And I had a lot of free time, and I had a lot of things I wanted to catch up on, comments. I had a ton of emails, people reaching out to the show. So I'm just doing a catch-up with that. And then I also want to say thank you for the call-in show. It did really well. It showed me that we have the Wi-Fi here and the cell service to do a call-in show. And so now I just got to figure out how I can save up some money to buy better hardware and software so we can make it a better experience. And then also get a different cell phone number possibly, because I didn't take the number down and I got a ton of messages and emails. And here's one of the here's one of the voicemail messages that I got. And so I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try here to see if I can get this voice message to play. It's a really good one. I thought it was really good to talk about. So let me see if I can get it up here. Doing the best I can. So bear with me with the crackling.
Hey, Thomas. I just listened to one of your podcasts and you mentioned about the Shenandoah River at Front Royal and the bass restocking. I was up there one day, probably in June, and the DNR truck came down and they released bass back into the river that they had used for their eggs to stock later on. And my name's Rick, 703-298-33.
So I don't want to give away his number. But anyway, I'm going to replay it again.
Hey, Thomas. I just listened to one of your podcasts and you mentioned about the Shenandoah River at Front Royal and the bass restocking. I was up there one day, probably in June, and the DNR truck came down and they released bass back into the river that they had used for their eggs to stock later on. And my name's Rick.
Rick, thank you so much for the message. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that's really interesting to me. There's been a ton of chatter all over the internet. So let me unplug it. That's a little bit weird. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rick, for the voicemail. I really wish you sent that message on Monday night during the call-in show so we could talk about that. So I'm trying to get a hold of Hallaker, who really is in charge of the fish hatchery in Front Royal. They've been working for a while now to actually spawn hatch smallmouth in the Front Royal fish hatchery. From what I hear, it is a success. From following stories on Instagram, from word of mouth, it was successful. They not only were able to get spawning class fish from the river, they were able to get them to spawn successfully in captivity. And they do have a brood of smallmouth that they will be putting back into the river. So that is huge. Maryland was the first one to really do this in the last couple of years. And now that the Front Royal Fish Hatchery is up and running, it sounds like Virginia was able to do it too. So huge shout out to Hallaker at the Wildlife Department of Natural Resources, the Virginia Department of Natural Resources. I don't know why I couldn't just talk there for a minute, but yes. So Tony, yeah, thank you so much for that message. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so Hallaker and the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources have cracked the code now on smallmouth breeding. This is huge. This is something that I've been, not just me, but a lot of people have been clamoring for, is to do some supplemental stocking on the river. It's not the silver bullet. Habitat's important. Water quality is important. So many factors are important, but to be able to help do a little bit of supplemental stocking to help nature out is fantastic news. And so, yeah, they probably reintroduced or put back all the breeders in Riverton. I didn't know specifically about that. Hopefully I can get Hallaker on the show at some point so he can comment on that. But it's a great step in the right direction if they are consistently going to be able to stock smallmouth in the Shenandoah River. That's really, really awesome. And then guys, please let me know if the volume's okay there with that, because I feel like that one's gonna get clipped for sure. I feel like my volume is just not doing good, but I hate this system that I have right now, but we'll get a new one eventually. So on to the next email. What do we got here? We got one from Don Kane. All right, next one we got here. Don Kane. Good evening, Thomas. I recently discovered your podcast on YouTube and wanted to give you a big thanks. I have learned more from your podcast about my home lakes, Frederick and Holiday, than I have from all other sources over the years. Still not enough to consistently catch fish. Well, it's Lake Frederick is really a dump right now. It's been really, really hard on that thing. What do we got here? What, you're live? Great. We can troll you now, JK. Nah, Ray, just troll me all you want. Basically, yeah, I'm live right now. I wanted to say thank you guys for the call-in show. It worked extremely well. I basically tried to do a very cheap, free-ish version of a call-in show to see if I didn't know if I had the cell signal where I live or the Wi-Fi to be able to stream and take phone calls. I was able to. And so this opens up the door because I've truly wanted Fishing DMV to become like a sports talk radio show where we can just have call-ins all the time and really have the good community thing there. I really, really am happy about it working out. Now I just got to figure out how to get the budget together so I can get better equipment and hardware and software so that we can legitimately have a call-in show. And I'm not fumbling with my phone to plug it in and out with all the staticky stuff. I don't like that, but it's a step in the right direction. The other thing I didn't know is I had that number hooked up to my main phone and I just kept getting phone calls all night and the next day at work. And so we just played an email. I'm having a brain fart. We just played a voicemail from a guest who had something really cool about the stocking, just to kind of give people a heads up. And so not only are we going through the old messages there, I'm catching up on all the emails, comments, and stuff. The really important ones I thought would be a good share with the group. So we got Devil Dog. I believe they have been doing that for a while in Front Royal, been using Front Royal Outdoors for over 25 years. And I remember Don, the owner, talking about them stocking the Shenandoah. So what happened, and this is from the best of my ability, working with the Department of Wildlife Resources, talking to them, the Front Royal Fish Hatchery was, for lack of a better term, let's just say broken. There were issues with it. They had to fix it back up. So it was shut down for a while. So in the past, it was available. Then it had to go through a refurbishing phase. Then they got it back up and running finally. And then they're doing the whole smallmouth stocking program. And again, I really went into huge detail with this with the Maryland Department of Wildlife Resources back on episode. Oh, help me, chat. What was that episode? This is the one thing I love about having this stuff on my phone is I can quickly find. It's bad when I've done so many episodes. I have to really go through to figure out which one it was. There it is. So it was episode 68 of the podcast. I had John Mulliken of the Maryland Department of Wildlife Resources on. John Mulliken is one of the guys that really figured out, or him and his team figured out how to successfully get smallmouth to spawn in captivity, because apparently it's insanely hard. There's like a handful. You can count all the places on one hand that can actually successfully get smallmouth to spawn. It's really hard. Maryland figured it out a couple years ago and started to do the stocking process. So I thought that's really cool. And now it sounds like allegedly Virginia figured it out, which is awesome. And again, I'm really, really trying to get somebody on from the Department of Wildlife Resources to comment about it, to talk about it, how it went, just to kind of keep the public informed. I think they wrote an article about it on DWR's website, but it's an article. I know that doesn't trend as much as like a video does. So, just some food for thought. Stephen Lloyd, sounds good. Perfect. All righty. So let's get back to the email. Let's see. So Don Kane, good evening, Thomas. I recently discovered your podcast on YouTube and want to give you a big thanks. I have learned more from your podcast about my home lakes, Lake Frederick and Lake Holiday, than I have from all other sources over the years. Still not enough to consistently catch fish, but enough to get me going in the right direction. I hope I stop in at Jake's this morning and pick up some swim jigs and trailers and went to Sleeter's Lake for the first time this evening. I didn't know this lake was open to the public until hearing about it on your show. I caught 4 15 to 16 inch largemouth in an hour and a half. I told them at Jake's my visit was because of your podcast. Thanks again for it. Don Kane, sir, you are very, very welcome. No, Sleeter's Lake is not talked about a lot, and I get it. I get the issues with that. People are afraid of places getting blown out. I 100% understand that. My goal, though, is if it's a public body of water, to shine a little bit of light on it, to teach you how to be able to catch fish out of there. Lake Frederick eventually will turn back around, and when Lake Frederick turns back around and it starts sizzling, people are going to go to Lake Frederick and people aren't going to go to Sleeter's Lake anymore. That's just how it works. When a lake gets hot, people start going to that lake specifically, and it gives other lakes a chance to heal. That's honestly why again, I know I'm talking Looney Tunes here, but I'm big on lake building. I think that's going to be a thing again, where even if you have a couple 300-acre lakes, it does alleviate the pressure. One lake will be hot, everyone will go there. Other lakes will settle down. And granted, the counter argument to that would be like, well, yeah, eventually there'll be more anglers. But okay, that's a generational thing. I mean, if you build more lakes, it doesn't mean instantaneously you have more major bass boats. I think that's going to take time for it to grow. But eventually, I guess that could be a valid argument, a valid problem. Let's get on to the next one here. Oh, here it is. Let me zoom in for that. There we go. Let's see. John Bryan, really appreciate your content. Wanted to reach out to see if you could help me out. My brother and I are looking for a good introduction to fishing. We are novices. My brother thinks he can fish, but I just watched him come up empty during a week-long vacation on the Eastern Shore. Our father taught us many things, but fishing wasn't one of them. Not sure if it will turn into a lifelong passion, but I would be happy to just see my brother pull a fish out of the water. Do you know anyone who offers a fishing trip suited for us near DC? We are in Falls Church, but can travel an hour or so for the right setup. Thanks in advance, John. Ooh, that's a really good question. Brother pulls fish out, DC. Not sure if it will turn into a lifelong. It'll turn into a lifelong passion. John, I feel like I should have responded to this one a lot faster. I am so terrible with emails with all these social media platforms. It's no excuse. I just need to be better at all this. Yeah, I have a couple of guides I can get. Travis Eden Kingfisher Guide Service. Shallow Water Adventures, Jeff Green. Like, there's a ton of guides I can give you. I can get to. But the thing is, it's like a guide is once. Right? It sounds like what you want is a fishing education. And honestly, the best way to learn how to fish is to fish the Upper Potomac, the Shenandoah River, places like that with small baits where you're going to get bit. The summertime is not the time, honestly, to catch big ones in the river. But you're going to get bit. Tidal river fishing is extremely easy during small windows, but river fish consistently have the same bite window, and they're a little bit more aggressive because of the current. They're either going to eat or they're not, especially in the summertime. And so you can wade the Upper Potomac, the Shenandoah, the main stem of the Upper Potomac from Harper's Ferry all the way to the falls, Goose Creek in some places. There's so many creeks and streams, which is a fantastic way to start learning how to fish. Creek Fishing Adventure is also a really good YouTuber to watch about this, throwing Helgamites, ultralights, things like that. That'll be the best way to kind of get you introduced into fishing. And I would honestly say go with an ultralight or a medium light setup, and then you can really just catch stuff. Bluegill, bass, largemouth, smallmouth, really getting success under your belt. And then as you're okay with not catching as much, uptick your tackle a little bit. Go to a medium heavy. That'd be an interesting spinning rod. Go to a medium spinning rod with some braid. Learn how to tie a leader material. Then you can get into a bait caster. But yeah, I think starting off with an ultralight and having success, or a medium light setup, something where you can go out there and you're just going to catch whatever's swimming. Okay, it might not be big, but you can have fun. I still have an ultralight that I keep in my truck because I live like right next to the Conococheague Creek. And so I can walk down there, generally speaking, and I can just start fishing, catch whatever swims. It's fun as hell. I'm not going to catch a big one, but dude, it's like a bent pole's a happy pole. That's Jose Wajeve, by the way, guys. He coined that phrase. Let's get to the next one here. How many of you guys want to actually call in? I want to try something different here. I know this is going to be blasphemy for all that, but yeah, let me throw the phone number up real quick. Give me a second. I think that's the phone number. All righty, let me get the banner up here. Oh, there it is. All right, there we go. Cool. Sorry. There's the phone number. You can give me a call if you want to chat. I really hope that's the right phone number. I think that's the right phone number. We're gonna find out together. I'm pretty sure that's the right phone number. So yeah, give it a holler, give it a chat. I'll try to answer you, get you on the show if you have any questions. While I keep rattling off these messages that we got here. Where's the next one? I missed one. Oh boy. Oh Lord. Okay. Hey, man, I absolutely love this podcast. Been listening straight for the past 2 days, trying to get a crash course on this fishery. I have learned so much. Just wanted to thank you for all the information. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. Taking a trip down this weekend, and I cannot find any information on float times from Point of Rocks to Algonquian. Do you have a rough estimate for that trip? I know there's a million factors, just trying to get a ballpark. We will be fishing hard most of the way, floating on canoes and kayaks. Appreciate anything you can share and keep up the good work, Frank. I don't know if you've heard the story of me kayaking with my wife. I think we were married at that time. And were we married? I think we were. Again, if you guys want to call in, I just threw the number up there, 202-556-4896. You can call into the show if you'd like to. If you're going to be floating from Point of Rocks to Algonquian Park, that's going to be 10 to 12 hours, chat. Help me out. What do you think? 10 to 12? If you're fishing hard, okay, maybe 8. Maybe 8. That's a heck of a float. And I really think a 2 to 3 mile float, if you're fishing hard, will last you a long time. And also, like, again, it probably depends on your fishing style too. If you are fishing like Kevin Van Dam and you're just absolutely burning the bank, yeah, maybe you can cut down 2 hours. But generally speaking, if you're going to be working every pool, you're going to be snagging a little bit, you're going to be changing baits, you're going to be stopping. Always give yourself always think it's going to take 2 extra hours. I think worst case scenario, 2 extra hours per float trip at least. That way it really sucks as an idiot, as one idiot to hopefully someone that won't be an idiot. it really sucks when you get caught out there and you're like, okay, I still have like 5 to 10 miles to go because I completely overestimated how long this damn thing's going to be. Let's get the map up here to see how far this is. Again, guys, you want to call in 202-556-4896. Hopefully that's the right damn number. If not, please let me know in the comment section. We'll be updating this as we go. Let's go here. Oh, I didn't even share my screen. Chat, you're supposed to tell me this stuff. All right. So he wants to go from... Point of Rocks to Algonquian. Whew. That's just a hell of a float. Point of Rocks. Oh, dude, that's... I don't know, 6 hours? No. Yeah, I would say 8 to 10. I'd say give yourself 8 to 10 hours. If you're going to float from Point of Rocks to Algonquian and you're going to fish a lot, I would say give yourself a whole day to do it. And what's really nice about this, if you have a chase vehicle, keep this in mind, though, about this stretch compared to other stretches. There's going to be a point in here. Where is White's Ferry? I really need to pin this stuff. That's up here. So White's Ferry is up here. So you're going to be able to, if you feel like you can't make it, you can still get out at White's Ferry, but just keep that in mind that the ferry's not operating right now. So if you're trying to get a vehicle from Virginia to Maryland, you can't go this way. So let's say you float all the way down this far and, oh crap, we're not going to make it all the way to Algonquian. Just let your wife know, depending on which side she's coming from. You can still get on either side, but the ferry's not going to work, so they can't cross. So just food for thought there. But you can get off at White's Ferry if you want to. No, that's a good question. I mean, that's a really good stretch too. I mean, this place does not get fished a lot. Definitely down by White's Ferry. The other thing that I really want to figure out how to fish is below 23, right here at Seneca all the way down to the falls. I'd really like to fish that area a little bit more to figure out what that's kind of like. That's going to be on my bucket list next spring as well. All right. Why is my phone been a butthead? Perfect. Hello? Hello? And this is why. And this is why we're buying new equipment once we get the money, because that shit ain't working. But if you leave a voicemail, I can at least call that back. But anyway, back to what we were doing here. Where's the next message? Oh, we got one on Instagram.
Hey, what's up, Thomas? Stephen Lloyd here. Just want to give you a quick shout out. Say thank you very much for your hard work. It's really awesome. You're bringing the Northern Virginia fishing community closer together, I feel like. and keeping the content within our general area. Greatly appreciate it. And you have great interviews. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Jake's Bait and Tackle, for all your hard work as well. Thank you. Bye.
We'll play that one more time in case you guys didn't hear it. Apparently, it'll play voicemails.
Hey, what's up, Thomas? Stephen Lloyd here. Just want to give you a quick shout out. Say thank you very much for your hard work. It's really awesome. You're bringing the Northern Virginia fishing community closer together, I feel like, and keeping the content within our general area. Greatly appreciate it. And you have great interviews. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Jake's Bait and Tackle, for all your hard work as well. Thank you. Bye.
Stephen, thank you so much. I will figure this out. I will pick up a third job to get the hardware and software needed to make this smoother to do a call-in show, because it's kind of, now that I know we can do it, it's a little ridiculous. Like, I want more junk on my desk so we can make this a little bit more smoother to where I don't have to fumble and plug stuff in and out of my phone. Anywho, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And that's the whole thing of the show. This is Fishing in DMV. I've had a couple of people reach out, some I don't want to say sponsors, but people advocating for me to do a bigger national show, or more. They want me to do more national coverage. But if that was the case, it would be a national channel. I would have a new channel. This channel is made for Fishing the DMV. It is for DC, Maryland, Virginia, this area, and the Chesapeake Bay. So I will try to continue to bring content that's only specifically for this area, for the people that live here, for this channel. And on a live stream, if people ask me questions or we have some hot topics, of course, we'll touch on them, but it's for the people here. And Stephen, I really appreciate you listening and supporting the show. And then guys, yeah, again, if you want to call me, feel free to. I got a couple more messages I have to get through before we call it for this evening. This was, again, just kind of like a catch up deal that we were doing. Let's get to the messages that I have here on the old chat. All right. Oh, here's a good one. Let me bring this one up. Come on. Sweet. All right, here's another good one, guys. All righty. Hey, Thomas, we met briefly a while back at... let me make this a little bit bigger here. Hey, Thomas, we met a while back at Jake's Bait and Tackle during the Susquehanna, Potomac, and Shenandoah Guide panel. Did you guys like the Shenandoah Guide panel? Is that something you want me to do again, to put on? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want me to do like another river panel with a bunch of guides. I thought it went really well, so I thought it was fun. Hey, Thomas, we met briefly a while back at Jake's Bait and Tackle during the Susquehanna, Potomac, Shenandoah Guide panel. I just wanted to thank you for all the incredible work you do with Fishing the DMV. I feel like episodes over the past 6 months or so have been particularly great, with awesome guests and such informative and engaging dialogue. Dude, thank you so much. Your enthusiasm for our fisheries wears off on me, as well as many others, I'm sure. And you are a wonderful interviewer and conversation. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I was homeschooled, by the way. How's that for a spoiler? So I was basically bred to be antisocial to an extent. And yeah, look at me now. The episode with Charlie Taylor, as well as the recent one with Joe Love, are two of my favorites that were really... Apparently, I can't read out loud, though. I will say that. I suck at reading out loud. Anyway, just wanted to let you know that your work is really valuable. The Joe Love interview, guys, I really, really enjoyed. Again, if you want to leave a voicemail, because I may or may not be able to answer your call, it's 202-556-4896. Also, if you haven't already, check out Wade and Shoreline Fishing the Potomac River for Smallmouth Bass, Chain Bridge to Harper's Ferry by Stephen Moore. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Have you guys ever heard of this book by Stephen Moore? I just started fishing the Potomac last year, and this book has been everything. He breaks down the entire section of the river in extreme detail, and it's been super helpful in learning how to fish. There's an effective and safe way. I'm not sure what the author is up to these days, but he could be extremely cool guest. That dude, all right, note. I'm going to take a note. Yep. You guys know me. I mean, honestly, though, it's just you never know which guest. There are people that you think are going to be great guests. They're not as good. And then they're just like randos is not like their rando, but it's just like that. If you had 10 guests, it is not easy to always like, this is the one that's going to hit. This is the one that's going to be really cool. This one is really going to hit a note with me or the audience. You don't know that, which is so crazy with what we do here, because they're not just professionals, which is the whole point of what I do. It's not just about professionals. It's about the people that live in this community, whether you're a guide or a local angler. I have a really cool guy. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but he's a farmer, a generational farmer who lives up in the Susquehanna area. And I'm going to have him on the show. Is he a professional? No, but he has an opinion that's different. And I really appreciate that. But absolutely, let me make this note real quick. Stephen Moore. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Stephen Moore. Done. All right, what do we got here? Thomas, please have on 3 future podcasts. Liberty. Thomas, please have on 3 future podcasts. Liberty, Loch Raven, and Petty Boy Reservoirs, and choose 3 people who know a lot about these places. Thanks. Ray, who knows them? Because aren't they private? Ray, give me a call. Let's talk about it. What do you know about the place? Call me in right now. My phone may or may not let me answer. We'll find out together. And we could talk about it. Phone number is 202-556-4896. Yeah, because I've heard legends and rumors of these places, and that they're super private. You have to pay like what, $10,000 to give up your firstborn kid to get on the place. But then that boat is the only boat that's like, you can't use that boat anywhere else but those reservoirs, which is a little. If you had to pay a lot of money to get on that lake, it's one thing. So if it was, I don't know, $200 a month to fish the thing, let's say something like that. But you could take your boat, you could put it on there, electric motor only, fine. Keep your big motor up, but you could use your boat other places. You had to pay $200 a month. I'd still probably do that. That'd be a really cool idea to go do that. But the idea that like, no, not only do you have to pay a fee, you have to have a special boat that can't go anywhere else. If that's the case, it's like, it's kind of annoying because they're missing it. They could make so much more money too. And that's the thing with some of these homeowners associations, guys. It's like you can make so much more money. I mean, think about it this way: if you had a lake, I mean, let's hear it out. Let's say you bought a house at a few. Let's say this lake is Lake X. Let's call it Lake X. And Lake X has 5,000 houses around it. Okay, let's say 5,000 houses around it, and you have to pay $100 a month for 12 months in your homeowners association fees. That's $1,200 a year. Now let's take that $1,200 and let's do times 5,000 houses. Let's see how much we have. Yeah. So we're getting close to $6 million a year, if my math is correct. So that means a homeowners association on some of these private lakes can, depending on what their prices are or what they could charge, you're talking 6 million, 10 million. They're making a ton of money. Why can't we use that and be like, hey, listen, we'll give you a tax break on this land just for you to help put in a lake. We just ask that you put in a state park with a boat ramp. You guys get to, pay out the ass for homes that are overly priced for Airbnbs and the rich and the wealthy. And then we all get a lake to fish out of. Everyone makes money. Everyone is happy. Like, that's brilliant. Loch Raven, come on, $1,200 a year I'd have to pay to get on both those lakes. I'd do it. Or those 3 lakes, I'd do it. I'd pay that. If I didn't have to use like a specialty boat, I probably would do that just to open up more water. And okay, make it a lottery ticket of like only 200 people, 300 people, whatever. That's not, it's just extra money you can make. But I don't know. It's just, I feel like people just want to shoot themselves in the foot. But yeah, Ray, absolutely. I'll look into finding out somebody to get on the lake. I don't know much about them, but I heard one has monster smallies in it. Maybe $100 yearly fee is worth it. Not sure. But yeah, those HOA lakes I wish were public. Yeah. And it's like, and what I mean by that is, because I know I had a comment a long time ago, and I think we mentioned about this on the show, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. If the lake was private to begin with, that's one thing. If you just want it to be private, what I'm saying is, like, say if we build a brand new lake to help raise money for it, you let people develop houses in it. Well, if you're making $6 million a year, you will be able to pay for that lakes construction. You will. There's money to be made. Heck, you could even give you could give $500,000 a year to the DWR and the Chesapeake Bay Association for the Chesapeake Watershed Acts and things like that. Like, everyone could make money off of putting a lake in that we could all use. Everyone could get paid. And if everyone got paid, everyone should be happy. Because always what it comes down to is follow the money. Are people getting their pockets lined? And if we do that correctly and we all play ball, we could all be happy here. Because I think that's what's going to happen is these lakes are going to become a premium. They are. Look at the price of land around Lake Anna and Deep Creek Lake or Smith. Now imagine it in 10, 20, 30 years. It's going to get to the point where these properties are $3-4 million. It'll be insane. And that will be a premium value. So in 10 to 15, 20 years, imagine how much brand new lakefront property would be. I think if you team up with one of these bigger, like the Learners, you know, they're big housing crew, you could figure out a way to put a lake in. I think the cost is not as bad as people think. Granted, is it going to be a 30,000 acre impoundment? Probably not. Could you put in a 1,000 acre impoundment? Yeah, probably there are places you could do that. And everyone could make money on it. And we could have another place to fish. So just my thoughts there. But yeah, I mean, I'll definitely look into those lakes, Ray. I really appreciate that. Again, guys, the phone number down below is 202-556-4896. Got a couple more messages I need to get through. And then I'll be on my way for this evening. Again, thank you guys so much for making that Monday Night Live so freaking good. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get better. The system I have right now is not perfect for call-in shows, but now that I know that I have the cell service and the internet to do a call-in while streaming, I'm going to look into figuring out how to afford to get better hardware and software so we can do a better call-in environment. Because I think it's a lot of fun for everybody. Let's see. All right, cool. And I think we got one more message here. Here we go. Okay. Just wanted to send a message to let you know I really enjoy your YouTube channel and I've learned a ton. I fished a little with my dad and brothers growing up, but we didn't really know how much past throwing daredevils for northerners and bass in southern Minnesota, and sometimes snagging a few from our canoe. Fast forward to me with a family. When my kids were little, I bought some kayaks to get the family on the water, mostly at Mason Neck, but we didn't fish. Attached photo of kayak. Oh, I forgot that photo. Great fun just splashing around in 2017. I bought a canoe from a retired guy and he started telling me about bass fishing. I was clueless. I didn't know there were bass out there. I thought they were only in lakes. He gave me one white tube bait and said, have fun. The kids didn't go out much, so I ended up just using my kayak. Eventually sold the canoe. I had some early luck at Mason Neck and Pohick up the creeks, exclusively using white and pumpkin tubes, but they seem to have dried up the last few years after commercial fishers set up camp in 2019-2020. But I'm not a hater. So I started researching and found your channel with all the interviews. In one of your shows, you mentioned that there used to be fishing clubs that met monthly, but those days are gone. Luckily, we have your channel. Oh, we got a message here. I'm hitting Smith Mountain Lake mid-August for a week. Should I be fishing shallow or deep? Brew Tank, let me finish this thing real quick and I'll answer that. Actually, you know what? I'll answer that right now. Wait, what was the question again? Sorry. I am hitting Smith Mountain Lake mid-August for a week. Should I be fishing shallow or deep? If you're going to be doing night fishing, I could say you could fish shallow. If you're going to be fishing, if you're willing to fish at night, I would say do that probably. I think the night bite will actually be pretty good there. You could fish shallow. What type of boat do you have? Do you have live scope? What do you have? Brew, call in. Let's talk about it. 202-556-4996. Do you have live scope? Do you have forward facing sonar type of deal? Are you from a boat, a kayak, a Sea-Doo? What do you got? So just kind of help me paint the picture of what you have available to you, because I don't want to set you astray. Anyway, in one of your shows, you mentioned that there used to be fishing clubs that met monthly, but those days are gone. Luckily, we have your channel. Next best thing, or better. Now I've gone out on the Shenandoah twice and part of the Potomac and parts of the Potomac 5 to 6 times. And I am catching a few smallmouth, way more fight than largemouth. Yeah, smallmouth are awesome that I had been catching. As you know, fishing river is way different than my earlier experiences mentioned. And I didn't really know where to fish, just overwhelmed. I'm slowly getting dialed in, but nothing more than a few fish per outing. No problem. Still out there having fun and learning. I'm 100% catch and release after taking a pick. I've heard you and others talk about using a Ned rig, but it was your last interview with your wife where you explained your mistakes of starting her with it and her switching to a crankbait because she said it fit her personality. I totally get that. I'm going to try the Ned rig again using your explanation in that show. I had been fishing it way too fast and snagging everything but fish. By the way, that was your best show yet of the dozen or so that I've watched. Though the Alabama bass one was alarming, maybe I'll just wrap this up and say thank you so much for interviewing so many diverse people. If you see someone fishing from a crappy yellow kayak, it's probably me, so give me a wave. I think I'm going to focus on waters above White's Ferry. Yes, lots of grass as mentioned in recent shows. Maybe I'll also say that being from Minnesota, the Midwest, we are taught to stay away from rivers. Too dangerous. Also, 10,000 lakes. The 10,000 lakes. My idea of the river fishing was Great Falls and those whitewater kayaks out there. I had no idea above the falls, the water is so calm. I now monitor water levels. I actually went upstream from White's Ferry to above Mason Island the other day. No biggie if you know the water, but you can't do that on the Minnesota River. Actually, death wish to even try going downstream in a kayak. I had to send a video to my mom to calm her down. Yes, it's a river, mom, but not what you're picturing. Okay, sorry for the rambling so much. Quick message, thanks, Tony. No, Tony, you're very welcome. Yeah, the Ned rig. What I mean with the Ned rig and the jigs and things like that, you need to have a really good detection of the bite. If you have never fished before, a slow moving bottom bouncing bait, it's a lot harder to detect a bite. I don't care if it's a big half-ounce flipping jig or a Ned rig, it's still a little bit harder to feel. Once you start getting bit, you'll understand it and get an idea for it. I would say always downsize the Ned rig. Go to a smaller one. I don't even think I have one here, but the micro one I've been talking about a lot. A Hellgrammite is a really good one. The tiny tickler, a tiny tube. The smaller the bait, the higher probability you're going to get bit. Especially you'll catch rock bass, bluegill, and you're going to be able to identify the bite faster and learn it. And once you start learning the bite, the doors are open. You can fish so many things, but until you get bit, you can't really learn the bait. Bert, we got you back on. And then, guys, if you want to try to call into the show, it's 202-556-4896. Bass Boats no live. Okay, cool, bro. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. Without live, it's going to be really hard because you're going to have bluegill eaters. You're going to have your shad eaters. They're going to be suspended out on brush, on break points, really deep on those points, by the way. So I would suggest without any electronics, you're going to be getting up really early in the morning. I'm assuming you're fishing for fun, by the way, so not tournament related. So if you're just fishing for fun, get up really early in the morning so you can get that first light shad deal. Look for a blueback bite down lake if it's possible. That's going to be way down lake on those big long points that's where the blueback will set up, and they'll set up in dirt shallow water on boring know nothing points, or they're going to be way out in the middle of the troughs in the saddles of those points. And a saddle is just basically it's two indentations between 2 points. So if you have 2 points here, you're going to have this big drop, and that's going to be called the saddle. And if you take that saddle all the way back into a cove, that's called a gut, generally speaking. Now, the other bite that you can play on, which is a lot of fun, but you got to find, is the bluegill bite. And I think Billy Coles and I talked about this a lot on the last show he was on, but going out there and looking for bluegill in the backs of pockets, if you find a lot of bluegill, you're going to find a portion of bass and you can get happy with. And the other thing you can do is just leave the lake and go up into the Roanoke River. The farther up there you go, the more rivery it's going to get, and you'll have a higher pop. You're going to have some more smallmouth up there too. The fish might not be as big, but there'll be current, and current changes the way fish position and the way fish act. Honestly, a bass in current will always have, I think, a a longer bite window than a bass that doesn't have current. So a random lake that has no current in it, there's just going to be random sporadic windows. Of course, first light and then dusk are two obvious ones. But besides that, it's a little random. And it's really cool because this is what I think Major League Fishing really highlighted when you would have the score tracker and all of a sudden no one's catching anything. And then all of a sudden it goes ding, 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 ding. And like everyone caught everything. And Bassmaster did this some as well, but usually it was only like 4 or 5 people that you saw versus when you watch the old MLF show and everyone had somebody on their boat and you realized there were these huge chunks of time and it made no sense. But once one person caught one, the whole lake turned on or maybe that section of the lake turned on. So I think that's really interesting. So if you get into the current, that'll help a lot. Tony, make sure you use a PFD. They make good ones that look like a fishing vest and comfortable to fish in. Right, that is a really good point. I appreciate that. Yes, always make sure you wear a PDF and make sure you let people know where you're going when you're out in the water. You do not want to get into trouble there. And then Brew Tank said mint September, not August. Okay, well, so with September is such a weird month. It really is. Once you get into the cooler weather in late October, November, that power fish bite will really turn on. September is the hardest month to get out there. Are you fishing a tournament or are you fishing just for fun? That'd be really, really cool to know. We got Daniel here. I love the vid you did with Lake Anna guides. It's cool getting some good inside information on the fishery. Absolutely. I'm going to have him on again too, just to keep giving us the pulse of Lake Anna, especially as we get into the wintertime here and that bite starts turning on again. That is a fantastic winter fishery. And you have the hot side of the lake as well. The hot side of the lake is fantastic. Imagine if they stock that with like the F1s or some Florida strains and you got some big stock on the warm side. Imagine if that dike wasn't there and you could fish the whole lake and that thing was actually 12 to 13 acres. Dude, that'd be insane. So, I mean, I don't know. That would be pretty insane if you could actually fish that whole lake. Wait, that's not a thing. Let me try to get caught up on all my chats here. Let's see. Do I answer all the questions? Hey, Thomas. Black, BBT. Yep, I answered that one. I asked the thing about the YOLO Tech. I think I answered this one, but I'm going to answer this one again just in case, because I might have forgotten this one. But anyway, Kenny says, all right. Kenny says, love the podcast and the video content. Question for you. I just bought a GoPro Hero 8 and plan to start videoing my boating outings with my son. What do you recommend we use to mount the camera and capture some moments? Thinking I may even start a YouTube or Instagram page dedicated to me and my son's trips. Let me know. Thanks again. Great content. Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. I think the Yellowtech stick, honestly, the Yellowtech stick is really good. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but you can plug that right back to where your nav lights are going, plug your camera right in. You have continuous battery and you can shoot a wide shot. The thing you want to know with GoPros is the battery absolutely sucks and these things love to overheat. In general, I think the GoPro is literally the worst designed action camera on the planet, especially the newer ones. The old ones are like bricks. It's like you guys remember the Nintendo 64? Nintendo 64, you could throw off a cliff and it would still work. These things, they don't like to work. They want to die. They're kind of like sheep. What you want to do is not have the battery, as I break my computer, you don't want to have the battery in it because it'll overheat immediately. Take the battery out and then you can plug it straight in and then give it external power. And the GoPro will hopefully not die. But, GoPros are kind of funky with that stuff because they do like to die. But that would be really good. The other thing you can do is, and I really believe you should do this, is you need to go with a Sims card. This is a SanDisk Extreme. I don't even know this will show up. Will that show up? I don't think it will. There you go. 512 gigabyte. 512 to a terabyte. That'll give you depending on if you shoot in 4K or not, which I don't think you really should shoot in 4K. That's just me. Do not shoot in 4K. That'll give you 14 to 20 hours of record time. You don't have to worry about anything else. You just plug that one thing in to an external power source, put it on your Yellowtech stick, and then hit record, and it'll record for all day, nonstop, no problems, and you'll capture those images. And it's not just about getting good pictures. I think you learn a lot from just GoProing yourself and watching. Like, it's almost like if you played baseball or football and you'd watch footage, you'd watch game film, you'd watch your swing. In golf, you watch your swing. You will learn so many things. Like, so example is this. I recorded a little bit this year when I was on the boat. None of this footage actually, it wasn't good enough footage to make a video or anything out of, but I'd still watch it. And I realized I was too locked into my forward facing sonar. And I didn't realize that there were fish breaking or there was bait breaking left and right of me in some circumstances. I was too focused on that. And now I'm more cognizant of not just to be staring at my live scope anymore. I want to still be looking around like I used to do just to see what's going on. Are there minnows breaking on the shore? Is there a herring working over there? Is there a loon? Those things are really important. Like, I had another one where I had a bite. I didn't realize I really had a bite. I cast it out there and I left it there and I looked down again at my sonar and my line went dunk. Didn't get him. Again, it was a very subtle bite, and if I was paying attention, I would have gotten him. So it's really cool how the camera will really show you kind of your weaknesses in your game as well, as long as capturing the memories. Devil dog fishing. Follow Sturgeon Creek Marina at Lake Anna. A lot of our tournaments and weeknight tourneys, but the size they pull out is sick. A lot our tournaments and weeknight tourneys. Follow the Sturgeon Creek. Yeah, absolutely, sir. Let's see. Devil dog. Let's go to that. Is it on Facebook? Sturgeon Creek Marina. How much weight does it take to actually win right now? Tuesday nighter, 19 boats, 17 pounds. Damn, that's pretty good. Second place, 14 or 14,000, depending. I guess that's supposed to be a decimal, not a comma. Third place, 13 pounds. That drops off a lot, though. That's pretty cool. Where's some more tournament results here? Elite Series results, 16 pounds. I think the Elite Series, I guess the Elite Series is just a regular format tournament, I'm assuming. Devil dog fishing. Look at the winter weights. Oh, the winter weights. Oh, good point. Yeah, I think they're like the Dirty 30 was caught last year. I remember that. Scrolling. Let's keep on scrolling there all time. This is pretty good though. I wish I lived closer to Lake Anna. That is a trippy ass photo. Good Lord. Why is it moving? That's weird. That's unsettling. Is that Hallecker? It looks like Hallecker. Where the hell is the... Okay, March. We're getting there. Why are these photos really unsettling looking? Here we go. February icebreaker. Damn, there's just some good weights. There's a cat event in February. Here we go. McCluskey. Oh, McCluskey. There you are, bud. I didn't know McCluskey's fishing these things. That's awesome. Here's one. Big fish, first place. Second place. There it is. This is the Dirty 30. Eric Johnson, Nate Silverlin. If I said that right, I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I don't know how to speak. 30 pounds with a 6-pound stud. Let's look at these pictures. Jesus. Apparently, he caught them so good they turned into cartoons. Ooh, wow, those fish are so pretty. Why are they all cartoon looking? Oh, well. There we go. Wow. That's a beautiful fish. That is such a cool color pattern on that fish. The Lake Anna Dirty 30. No, hey, Devil Dog, thank you so much. I'm going to actually follow them from now on. I mean, that's the thing I'm going to try to do next year too, is I want to follow more of the cat tournaments next year that are on brain fart, that are on Kerr and Lake Anna, Chick, places like that. I want to follow the Kerr tournaments way more, the cat tournaments way more, the cat series. And I also really want to follow the Federation, the TBF. I'm going to follow the TBF next year. I'm going to try to, and I want to follow the cat series. I'm going to add that to the rotation next year. I'm just running. When people told me during my MBA program that, and I made this business plan, I was told that there's not enough content to do a local fishing show. There's not enough content. And then I was told that there was not going to be enough support to do a local fishing show. Well, the first part I've proven wrong, because there is a ton of content for this area. I'm doing 3 shows a week and I still could be doing more. I haven't touched saltwater yet. And that's what I think. It's shocking when I have meetings with people. I'm like, yeah, I'm putting out 3 shows a week. And that's not even touching all the saltwater stuff. That's not talking kayak saltwater fishing, guided charter. Like, I didn't even cover this year the Ocean City Kayak Tournament, which is the highest payout kayak tournament on the East Coast. It's an insane payout. I didn't cover that. I didn't cover any of the big saltwater stuff. That's all in our backyard. And so, but on the freshwater side, I want to cover the TBF next year, and I want to cover the cat trails, and I'll try to cover some other things as well if I have time. But yeah, I mean, there's so many freaking opportunities. I want to cover more about Lake Gaston and Roanoke Rapids as well. But no, in the Lake Anna series is freaking, that's really cool. I mean, Lake Anna is about, if it hasn't already popped, it's going to pop here shortly with how freaking well it's fishing, because it's been absolutely insane how well that lake is just producing constantly. Brood tank, for fun. Girlfriend got a lake house. Oh, nice. I'm strictly Potomac River. Never fished deep, clear lakes. Smith, hopefully you have Billy on before I go. Oh, yeah. But don't worry. Billy will be on before you leave. Do not worry. I have him lined up in 2 weeks, I think. I have him in 2 weeks. I'm going to do a pre-recorded show. It won't be a live show, but it'll be a pre-recorded show. But I'll have him back on. But what I tell a lot of the guys, if you don't have the time to commit to learn deep, I highly suggest you do that. Take a long weekend and just get out there deep and just fish it and learn it. Get a guided trip with Billy if you want you to help fill in the gaps, but then just put some work out there. Do a guided trip with him and then do 2 or 3 days and just practicing it. That's very helpful. I really think that's how you get improved at it. The other thing that helps too is going to a lake. Here's some really good advice. If you want to get good at a thing, go to a lake that thing is good at. If you want to learn how to punch, go to Lake Okeechobee. If you want to learn how to fish deep, I highly, highly, highly suggest you go down south to the Carolinas. If you go to like Lake Kiwi or Lake Hartwell in the wintertime, you will learn how to fish deep and you'll fall in love with it, because there's so many of those stupid little spots and those fish are used to being pelagic. You'll catch them and then you'll get confidence in doing it. The reason I got so insanely good at fishing offshore, and I wouldn't say like insanely good, the reason I'm comfortable, that's better wording. I got comfortable fishing offshore. I grew up in Northern Virginia. I sucked at it, but I had so many tournaments in college, over there for Shenandoah University, where we were at Lake Murray, we were at Kiwi, Lake Kiwi is right above Lake Hartwell, and it has a nuclear generator on it. Well, the lake's not, it has a nuclear power generator on it, so it's hot. It's hotter than Lake Hartwell in the wintertime. We fished Lake Hartwell. We fished all these blueback herring, spotted bass lakes, and we got really comfortable fishing deep, where you could, and this was before live scope, where you drive over a school of bait fish, turn the engine off and fire behind the boat and just slowly, fish and underspin through them. You learned how to use your map and waypoint rock boulders and all that stuff. But we were fishing lakes that it played to it, and we went there at a good time to do it, and we got experience and confidence. So going to a lake that may or may not have a decent deep bite and trying to figure it out one day, that's hard. Go take a vacation, a fishing vacation sometimes, and in a perfect world, but in a perfect world, to a lake where you can practice that skill set. Do you want to learn how to catch smallmouth deep? Don't go to Smith Mountain Lake necessarily. Go up north to Lake Champlain, go up to a place like that where you can have those bites and get that confidence faster. I know it's a perfect world thing, but I do think it does help. There's just about any type of water you want to fish. Clear, dirty, tidal, herring. Yeah, this area's got a lot of everything. And I think Pangrac on Bass Talk Live even talked about this area having like it's the fishing in this area is underrated. It is. I still believe if we had one more lake, one more big lake that's about Smith Mountain Lake size, either in Maryland or Virginia or just in this DMV area, this would be one of the most diverse fisheries on the planet. But we needed one more lake, I think, to really make that argument. I think it's still a great place, but I think what would make it next year if we just did have that one extra lake to pop it. Because if you look at the Shenandoah Division, you go down to Kerr, like you need another lake in the Shenandoah area almost. And then this place would be top tier with all the lakes that we have and the diversity where you could go Smith, this brand new lake I just made in my head, the tidal Potomac River, the tidal James, Kerr, Gaston. I mean, Gaston is even big enough to have a BFL on it. It really is, but it just doesn't have the marina to do it. So even if you could get Gaston working, that would help. Probably the problem with Lake Ann in the summer is they end tournaments at noon because of all the boats on the lake. It's almost unfishable during the day on the weekends. I think I really want to fish it during the worst time of the day to see what that's like. Because I was told at Dam 5 or Big Slack, you can't fish a certain area because the boat traffic was so bad. And then we ended up catching them down there because no one would fish it. Now, granted, the front of the boat was getting just destroyed, but you still caught them because there was no pressure. And I wonder how much of the problem of it being unfishable is anglers think it's unfishable because it's not comfortable, so they don't fish it. Or is it unfishable because it literally the fish just won't bite? Does that make sense? Let me repeat that because I feel like I just worked that thought out in my head. Is it unfishable because it's uncomfortable for fishermen, therefore they don't fish it, so it's unfishable? Or is it unfishable as in the fish just don't bite? I think it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B personally. And I'm not there, so don't trust me for anything with that. But I do think there are probably areas, especially if you fish deep enough, if you catch them in 30 feet of water, let's say, the fish don't care about boat traffic as much because they get used to it, I think. But granted, again, if you can't fish the boat correctly, that's not going to help you either. So, keep that in mind. Perfect. Try to get that up there. Awesome. So I think, again, guys, thank you guys so much. That's all I have. I have all the super chats done. I have all the emails done. I think I have everything all done. So we are good to go. So yeah, please like it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me on the algorithm. And thank you guys so much for making that live show on Monday so special. I'm going to try to improve the technology so we can do the call-in shows a little bit more streamlined. If not, you can just leave a voicemail right now as we get that done, and we'll just play the voicemail in the show and we can answer your questions. But anyway, like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your hosts, Thomas Ahrens and Jared Mounts. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.